Alan Mackenzie, how are you doing?
Fine, thanks.
How did you enjoy the game today?
Went very well. Well, quite well. I'll be honest, quite well.
It's the first rain we've had for
Yes.
about 6 weeks.
I only missed about 3 or 4 sitters.
That's not bad.
So
Even
there you go.
Natalia missed a sitter the day. That was her first ever game of football. And she had one right in front of goal and she blew her lines. And it was being filmed as well. What
Yes.
a chance she had. Alec, I've known you now since Bella Houston. Is that where you started playing at Bella
Yes,
Houston?
Bella Houston.
Yep. I need to ask you about that top because it's got a number 80 on it, which is a bit of a strange number for
Well,
it.
that's to remind me what age I am.
Right. So you've turned 80 now?
Yes.
I think you might be one of the oldest in Glasgow that's still playing with us.
Well.
And one of the founders as well, so that's good.
Well, that's right. Aldo was another early starter with me.
He's in his 70s.
And believe it, the other one would have been Neil. You know Neil at 10th.
Neil Anderson. Yes, I do know Neil. Yeah.
Well,
he still comes now and again.
He does.
Yeah.
He was one of the original ones too.
I think I like the outdoor part of it because we're outdoors all the time now. There's
Yes.
no indoor walking
Yes.
football. Whereas prior to that, it was nearly all indoor.
Yeah.
It was unusual for us to be out in the open.
Yes.
And I think that's not helped with the likes of Neil and people like that,
Uh-huh.
who've got more challenges outdoors. The indoors kept us all contained within it.
Yes.
That'd be nice to get back to Bella Houston, wouldn't it? That'd be.
Well, I'm enjoying the outdoors to be perfectly
I
honest.
think we're adapting quite well. So how did you get involved? How did it come
Well,
about?
my daughter that actually saw something on YouTube or an ad about Bella Houston going to be starting walking football, and she told me about it, and I said, oh well, I'll maybe go and give it a try and see what's happening. And I went and
Who ran it then? Was that Andy Westcott?
Andy Westcott, yes.
Right, he kind of kicked it all off, didn't
Yes,
he?
he did.
And was that the only game in town at the time? Was that?
Well, it was because I wasn't aware of Kelvin Hall or maybe I'm not sure if
Drumchapel.
the Green was on the go at that time. I don't
think so.
I think it was that was one of
I think Bella Houston was the
one
start.
of the few.
Yes, definitely one of the very few at the time.
Yeah.
And I suppose it's something that we will forget as the years go by. But Glasgow Club and Glasgow Life laid the foundation of the whole thing that we have now.
Yes.
Because it all stemmed from that facility being laid on.
Yeah.
Because it's great that we can get out and kick a ball again.
Yes, it is.
We would never have dreamt that we'd have those
enjoy it.
facilities.
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
And you've had some challenges over the course of that time as well. And you're living on your own now.
I'm living
Lost
well,
Grace.
yes.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. And people say, "Oh, times are healer," but well, after 3 years, I'm still.
What happened, Alec?
Well, my wife had. Well, going back, her history briefly was she was diagnosed with cancer in 1987.
Wow.
20 years after we had moved up to Aberdeen from
Right.
Glasgow. We got married in Glasgow and moved up to Aberdeen, and 20 years later she was diagnosed with cancer, and they were able to do the breast, it wasn't removed,
Right.
it was reduced,
Right.
and that sort of thing, and they sort of spoke, and you'll do the treatment, and this could do you 20-25 years.
Right.
As it turned out, she got about 25 years out of things. When we moved from Aberdeen to Kilmarnock to be a bit nearer the family,
Right.
and she came back again, and then it just went downhill from there over a 2-year period or so.
Right.
You know, so that was it.
Yeah.
Just,
And you're on your own, because I remember you coming in and saying, how do you make a pot of broth soup and stuff like that.
well,
Remember?
that's-
Did you go in a cookery class?
I did, and but it was one of these ones where if gravy was mentioned, it wasn't just the usual
granules.
The granules.
They're not so cute.
It was a make-up gravy,
Right.
you know, and I felt
MasterChef kind of stuff.
This is a waste of time before we even get to the main course
Yeah.
and things like that. But
Especially on your own, it's tricky on your own cooking for one person, isn't it?
yes.
Because they don't cater for that, and you can't buy a wee loaf for one person. You know what I mean? You have
No,
to,
but I'm into a system where I use the freezer a lot
Right.
and take out in the morning what I might need during the day.
Okay.
And things can last. So I can buy a loaf and it'll do me a week. But it's coming out of the freezer
Yes,
a slice
every day,
at a
a
time,
bit
sort
at
of
a time.
style or
Yeah.
something like that, you know?
So I think we need to maybe start a programme, a special YouTube programme, Alec Mackenzie's tips for catering for yourself, because it needs a system in place. That's what it needs, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of guys who have gone through similar things or gone through life challenges, and they end up phoning carry-outs all the time, and,
Yeah.
or going down the pub and eating in the pub or whatever, you know.
Aye.
So
Well, I take myself out. I like to take myself out maybe once in the week
right,
and get
a wee
something,
treat.
you know,
Yeah.
that way.
And the walking football, where does that fit in then?
That's Mondays and Fridays.
Yep.
So I've got time in between for any shopping and things. And now that we're out of lockdown, I'm able to sort of maybe travel. I was up in Aberdeen the other day there, having a day in Aberdeen.
Lovely.
Met my sister who's from Bankery, and I met friends that we had over the years in Aberdeen.
yeah.
You know,
So that was a big part of your life up there.
We were 40 years in Aberdeen.
Wow.
40
Half
years.
your life then.
Aye. exactly that. So, and it was strange.
That's the
coming-
beauty of wearing your age. Everybody should have to wear their identification like
Aye.
that.
So it was interesting when we wanted because my daughter lost the first baby. When the next one was born, my wife felt she'd like to be a bit closer.
Yeah, so precious.
And
Yes.
see. So we didn't want to move too close as though we'd be on their doorstep. So we moved from Aberdeen to Kilmarnock,
Right.
and we liked the idea. We could go to Ayr for the beach, we could go to Troon, we could go to Irvine, and
Yeah.
these sort of things.
Yeah.
Up to Largs. My wife, when she was a girlie, her and her family, they liked going to Largs at
Right.
the Glasgow Fair, you know, and
Yes.
things like that.
Yes.
So that was
That'll
was it.
change now.
So-
It's interesting because my daughter lives in Glasgow with a partner and my wee grandson, but they're looking to move to Ayrshire right actively as we speak. They're looking
Ah.
at houses because a lot of people now don't need to live and work in the same place anymore.
No.
He's an IT kind of guy, so
Ah.
Lewis can work
Yes.
from home wherever
Aye.
they are.
Yeah.
So the lifestyle down the Ayrshire coast, they fancy that as
Yeah.
well. The only trouble is everybody's trying to do it at the same time.
Well, when we knew the situation with my wife, I thought we'll try and get a wee bit closer, and we actually managed to get a newish house in the Penaleigh scheme, where the former academy had been.
Oh yes,
They
yeah.
built new houses there, and by this time they'd be 9-10 years old, and we got ourselves one there, and we could walk to the daughters in 10 minutes, and my wife could get a bus into town, into Paisley,
Yeah.
into these shopping
Right,
centres and
handy.
things like that. You know, so that, and she enjoyed that for the couple of years that she had at that.
The one thing I need to say to you, Alec, is because we never get a chance to speak about these things with the football and then the coffee, and it's all football, isn't
Yeah.
it? Which is great. But I've seen you come through this experience in the last few years with losing your wife, your life partner, and I must commend you, because I know when you go through a major thing like that, there's a crossroads in your life. And there's lots of routes you can take, and some of them are a lot darker.
Yeah.
But the way you've handled it, and the way she would be so proud of the way that you've come through this.
As well as the football, I do Tai Chi
Right.
via Zoom just now. It actually started from a seniors club at Cardonald Library,
Right.
and then into lockdown, and the lad that run it sort of set up the Zoom, and we do it by
Excellent.
Zoom.
I need to give you a wee tip about your Zoom though, because we've done Zoom calls all through the
It
lockdown.
was through yourself
That you got on it?
and David Kinnaird that
We got you on
you set me up with a Zoom.
Well,
So
it was
I enjoyed
great.
that.
It was great during lockdown, wasn't it? We
Yes,
could do
it
our
was.
quizzes and all
I
that.
enjoyed the quizzes and
But there was one wee tip I never told you. I never had the heart to tell you. But we need to buy you a cushion. Because when you're on that Zoom, I only see the top of your head. We need to get you sitting up. Or move the screen a wee bit so we can actually. Or maybe it's deliberate.
no, maybe just a way of it.
Yeah.
See,
Alec, we've not really spoke much about football. Oh, who was your team?
well, the first teams I was aware of would be, one of the first was Clyde. I came from
Who?
the Gallagate,
Right.
and my mother would let me go to Shawfield, down to Bridgeton and up out Main Street or whatever.
Because it was quiet in Shawfield, wasn't it? There, aye.
Well, at that time, this was the mid 50s maybe,
Aye.
and so on. But and then a couple of cousins took me to Ibrox one time,
Right.
and I saw a game there. You know,
And that was enough of that. Aberdeen, I know you've got a wee soft spot for Aberdeen.
Well,
as
Aberdeen, the only time I've had a season ticket,
Right.
it was Aberdeen, and I got it. My second son, he's a great football enthusiast,
Yes.
as opposed to playing.
Yep.
And
Are the quizzes and all that?
he did a quiz in the local sports paper, and won a season ticket. And he said to me, "You can have that, Dad." So I had to go to down to Pittodrie, and it was the Donald stand, and the girl said to me, "Right, where would you like to sit?" And I had a look. I said, "I'd like to go right to the top of the stand,
Oh,
because
wow.
if anybody sort of gets up, I can stand in the passageway and I can see over what might be happening."
These are the considerations you
so-
need to have. I've
so-
never had to think like that. That's
So
interesting.
just that was
And you
it.
couldn't go and stand in the terracing when there was all
No,
these big guys running about you,
no,
Alec.
that was I put to the front. See,
Can I tell you that getting a free season ticket for Aberdeen, I don't think that would even be enough for me to go and watch them. Even from away up in the gods.
well, they had a good team at that time.
Aye, you're talking about a different era
They had a
altogether,
good team
yeah.
at that time.
Yeah, they're still living off
That's
the back of
where
that.
well, they are, but it shows you that it can happen for the lesser teams.
Brilliant, Alec. Can I just ask you finally, on the park, where do you get these elbows sharpened? Do you have to go and get that done specially?
No, well, there wasn't much use. I was against Gordon.
Oh, right,
Gordon was
Black, yeah.
back today, and I actually enjoy playing against the guys.
Yeah, a bit
because
physical.
there's a bit of banter,
Yeah.
and you know,
Yeah, it's a bit.
something. It's not taken too seriously, and that's
Yes.
what I enjoy.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. Yeah.
Pushing people about.
Just,
You put Big Alan Story on his back last week. He must be about 6'5". He's an ex-basketball player, and he
Hi.
ended up on his backside.
Oh, well.
He knows now.
Sorry about that.
Because you're very deceiving, Alec. Very deceiving. Folk think, "Oh, that wee old man." They soon find out differently, don't they?
Well, yeah.
Alec, it's been a pleasure, and it's great to have played with you this last 4 or 5 years. Love
Yes,
me at last.
I've enjoyed
Love me
it
at
all.
last. Thanks,
I've
Alec.
enjoyed it all. Okay.